summarize, the REGROW grant came about once cannabis became legalized in the state of Illinois. This grant it comes through the 3% local tax on the adult use of cannabis. Programs that this grant is really wanting to provide funding for: programs for economic business development, youth programming, gun violence, violence prevention, communities, again, more violence prevention, trauma treatment, employment infrastructure, zero entry and reentry services. We have already gone through the tier one. Those applications were already submitted and are being approved or being reviewed, I should say. The tier two applications are obviously now open, and that is what you're all here for today. Will be granted four $50,000 grants and two $100,000 grants. The timelines for these projects, for the 50,000, the committee is hoping that these funds would be spent within 1 year. So as you're going through your application, keep in mind these 1 and 2 year terms. Otherwise, communicate or explain in detail why it might be outside of that 1 year or 2 year. Hopefully not, but always describe. When in doubt, just add more description. So the purpose of this grant is to impact the communities that were disproportionately impacted by the cannabis laws prior to it being legalized. Intergenerational marginalization and community disinvestment are further continued by policies denying U.S. residency. There's just a bunch of things that have created issues that we know in our community. And where this grant program is to try and really get to the grassroots and really make impacts in lives of those who have been negatively impacted by cannabis. More program eligibility. There are some definitions to keep in mind that you will have to choose from one of these at the very end of your application. Is your program targeting a disproportionately impacted community? This is a specific census tract. There is a map, and we'll click on that when we go through the grant. So is your project event within that area? Or is your program event targeted at disproportionately impacted individuals or families? Those who were prior to January 13th of 2021 arrested or convicted or adjudicated delinquent for any offense that is illegal for expungement, or eligible, sorry, that is eligible for expungement. So any offenses that were eligible for expungement prior to cannabis being legalized. Who is this program targeting? We're going to have you specify that. Eligibility, you can read more through that. Timeline, this is not updated for tier two, so I'll make sure that we get that fully updated. You do know the grant application is due December 2nd, but in terms of timeline as to when the Community Relations Commission will be reviewing the applications, we will update the webpage to make sure that's reflected there. Okay, allowable and unallowable. So take time to reread through the grant guidelines to help you understand what the grant is really looking for. We'll come back to the rubric. Let's go ahead and we'll now take a look at the actual application. So on the REGROW webpage, is a link that says apply here. You may have already been in that. It will look similar to this. If you have already started an application, it will look like my page does. So I have started an application. Otherwise, if you have not, you'll select the REGROW grant program right here. You don't need to fill out the neighborhood signage program. It's the REGROW grant program. So you'll go into that. It is a pretty intuitive program. So just you'll follow down the line. So you'll start with the program overview by getting into it. Read through, again, it's going through what the guidelines we've already gone through with that. There will be a button for you to do complete and continue. It'll take you into the applicant information. You do have to fill in every area. So address, your tax ID number, are you a 501c3 or not? Are you in good standing with the state? Primary contact information. Again, there will be a complete and continue. I have already done that. So then it will take you into the applicant's project. This is really the large portion that you need to focus on, and this is what the panel will look at. They'll look at all of it, but putting in your project, so the title of the project, whatever that might be, and then in the description, here's the narrative. Add all of the details. The more, the better. This is a very competitive grant program, so the more information you can put in as to what the program is, who your organization is also is very helpful for the committee as they're looking through it. So make sure you're describing who you are as an organization, what the project is, who the project or program will serve, and why it's needed, and how the project fulfills the objective. So this is the lengthier portion of your application. Feel free to be descriptive. You'll enter in your proposed project dates and the amount you're requesting. So is it the $50,000 amount or is it the $100,000 grant amount you are requesting? Again, tier one for the 10,000 has closed, so we're looking for those 50 and $100,000 grant requests. This is where you will add more specifics of the who, providing the target areas, what community, where in Rockford is this program going to be targeting, how and why is that important? Why are these areas being identified? And further detail there. If the program address is different than where your organization is housed, this is where you would be able to add in an updated address. Again, keeping in mind the disproportionately impacted community. Let's go ahead and open this up. Maybe. Oh, there we go. So the nice thing about this map, it's very interactive. So you'll be able to just enter in an address. We'll use City Hall to see if it is within the disproportionately impacted community in this map. So it is, it's in the blue area. Let's zoom out quite a ways. So I zoomed out quite a bit for you so you can see it is not all of Rockford. So that's why keeping in mind the target and the audience that this program or project event is targeted towards. Going back to the application, then you go into the readiness to proceed. This portion is where you're explaining the timeline and your readiness, letting us know here is our project overall, and this is what we know we have to do to accomplish this project. And perhaps your project is more than $50,000. In this example, our test grant is requesting $50,000 because we have already identified and secured another $50,000 because our overall project is going to cost $100,000. You would break this out more specifically what is going into those portions, but letting the committee know You have thought through what will really make what you need financially and also as an organization to make your project or program or event succeed. So this readiness to proceed portion, again, you can add lines there. If I reopened, if there is a button to go ahead and add rows. So you can add as many lines as you want. And do, again, be the more specific you are, the better. It will help paint a really good picture for the commissioners who are looking at the applications. Okay, so that is readiness to proceed. Again, this is showing your budget and time frame for the overall project. It may be more than what you're requesting from the REGROW grant. Um, Going into capacity, once you would then click complete and continue, it takes you to capacity. This is where you will, we want to know, have you ever had audits performed for your organization? We want to get a sense of your financials and sustainability of your finances as an organization. If you have not, that's okay. You can click no. In this instance, we selected yes. We put in the dates. So maybe your fiscal year is perhaps January through December. Sometimes it's mid-year, whatever yours is. If you had any findings, you would be able to specify what those were. Again, do be honest. If you've had an audit performed, this is where you can now upload that independent financial audit. If you have not had an audit performed, you still need to upload at least a year-to-date budget versus actual. So we want to know the health of your organization financially. So showing what is the revenue and what are the expenses for your organization year to date. So far this year, what have you brought in and what have you spent? And that gives the commissioners an idea of how you track your funding and finances. Then you'll enter in your staff. Who is going to be monitoring and facilitating this grant and reporting? Because you do have to provide monthly reports to the city staff as to, with receipts as to what expenses are being spent on. So you have to report that every month. Ultimately, this is where you'll list who will be doing that and who will be helping with the programming, administering this grant and the programs. You can list again as many people as you need. Perhaps you're all volunteer. You can put in your volunteers. It could be the president. It could be John Doe, the president. Maybe they don't have grant experience, but maybe provide some other details of experience they have that might be similar. But maybe you have several people, hopefully on your board or your staff that have some grant experience, and this is where you'll enter those details. Again, painting a picture of we have the capacity or we're identifying what we need to make this project successful. If you have any collaborators that this project is going to involve, you can list your collaborators here. If you do, you need to add a letter of support. Completing the chart below, this is where you'll list any grants that your organization has received and worked through, and you'll describe those in detail here. If you have never received grant funding, you could put NA, but at least do try to fill out to give something to, even if it was a loan or sponsorships, to at least indicate how you track and that you can be fiscally responsible with grant funds. So again, try to be as descriptive and again, of course, as honest as possible. You can add more description here on how your organization manages compliance. This next question, so if you have any findings, you could more detail there. Perhaps your organization has experience dealing with various laws or regulations. This may not be applicable to everybody, so you could leave it all blank, put NA, non-applicable, or none for that. Or perhaps you do have experience with excuse me, prevailing wage, Davis-Bacon, or historic preservation, lead-based paint laws, any of these or other. If nothing's listed and you wanted to add something, you could. And then again, your organization's capacity to manage the grant. If you would like to describe in more detail why you think your organization would successfully manage the grant. So you would click complete and continue. This next step is relatively quick, just wanting to get an understanding of, as an organization, how do you track your finances? Perhaps you're using QuickBooks. Especially for a large project like this, it would make sense to hopefully have a system, but there are those who use Excel as well. But at least identify, let us know what you use to track your income, and so your revenue and your expenses. Are you able to delineate funds? So separate those out. Does your organization have experience in working with the programs? And then you can also add a description there. You would be able to complete and continue. And moving on to the next big portion, this budget and cost reasonableness. Again, there is will be a line here for you to select add rows. Do be as descriptive as possible, breaking out what your budget is for the amount you're requesting. So this portion, budget and cost reasonableness, is for the amount you've identified you're requesting. So for this case, $50,000. Again, people can seek 50 or 100,000. And so this example, we're seeking $50,000. You would add line items to break out what is it covering. Maybe there's some capital costs, some construction costs. You'll break that out. Perhaps it's very similar to the timeline that you had under the applicant's project readiness to proceed. Maybe it's almost the exact same, but it might most likely will vary in how it's worded. But break out the items of what your budget will consist of. Don't put it all just 50,000 and break it out in the description. We actually want to see broken out line items. There is another section in documents, the next tab when we get to that, that you can add a different itemized budget. Maybe you have one that you have in-house already, that you like that format and you think it helps paint a better picture. You can include that as well. Maybe it lines up exactly and you just want to make sure you have all the documents uploaded that you possibly can. That's fine. So there is a tab for you to upload an itemized budget for the project. Again, this project, this budget and cost reasonableness is for the amount that you're requesting from REGROW. Okay, so if for large projects like this, perhaps you're procuring third-party vendors, subcontractors, what process does your organization use to vet and procure those third-party vendors? And then how does your organization ensure that all of the expenses, everything that you're spending is actually a reasonable expense under the terms of REGROW? So how will you ensure that? What internal measures will you be taking? Then after completing that, you would select complete and continue. You don't have to complete the application all in one go. You can start it. There will also be a save button. So you could just hit save, but you are not able to start in one section, save it, and move to another. You do have to save as you go. All right. So we would do complete and continue. Moving into the documents tab. Here's where you can add as many letters of support. Do make them specific to this project, not just to your organization, but letters of support for the project that you are requesting these funds for. So letters of support can go here. Again, you can upload as many as you would like. If you have a board of directors, it is recommended to go ahead and include that as well. There would be an upload tab. So I've already uploaded. You won't have a download button there. It will be upload. Um, you will be asked to upload your W-9, so make sure you have that available to include. Again, a staff organizational chart, who works at your organization. That is nice to show the leadership and sustainability of the organization. Just gives, again, that well-rounded picture for the commissioners as they review your applications. Perhaps there are additional documents that you would like to include, some photos perhaps, or anything else that you think might be relevant or important for the commissioners to review. Perhaps it's an additional PowerPoint presentation. You would just enter, upload any documents that you would like for that, and then go to applicant certification. So this is where you're just going to review all of these requirements, certify that you will comply with the grant. I have again have already reviewed this and selected and submitted my signature, and I hit complete and continue. And then the last step is the remaining questions for tier two. In what year was your organization founded? So enter in that date. Again, it helps give the commissioners an idea of the organization as a whole. It does not a new organization does not you don't get punished for being a brand new organization, so no fear there. We love to see innovations and new ideas. So the commissioners are very excited to see what projects you all are proposing, what needs you're identifying in the community, especially those who have been disproportionately impacted. This going into this is where you will then select who your project is targeting. Is it a disproportionately impacted community, individual, or families? Perhaps it is multiple. Um, is this for an existing project or program? Um, This will actually be required for you to answer this question. So sorry there. And so you can say, okay, this is an existing program. We currently serve 100 people. And with the REGROW grant, we are hoping to serve, an additional 50. So we'll be serving 150. How will you use these funds to serve more? So you would add a more description here. Oh, that's not how you spell that. Again, more detail of the specifying the how you aim to what issue you are addressing with this project. Sorry, I can't talk today. What is your recruitment process? How are you going to confirm that they are part of the disproportionately impacted community and live in Rockford? Because being a City of Rockford program. So how are you also going to identify and confirm that? So add some description there. Every project, no matter how well we plan, there will be hurdles and little bumps in the road. So, what are you thinking through? What do you anticipate might be some challenges? And how would you address that? Maybe it'll be some staffing things. How will you address it? Maybe it's related to construction and there could be concerns of timelines and lead times for products or materials. So, put that in there and describe what some of those challenges are and how you will address it. And then the commission does want to get an understanding, is this a one-time thing or is this a project that you are hoping or program event that you're hoping to sustain in the future? This is where you get to explain to them how you will go ahead and do all of that. So how will you sustain this? If you think you will, what do you think you might need to go ahead and sustain it? To go ahead and be honest about that here. Um, so this is what all the buttons would look like as you go. You can hit save if you're not quite ready to complete and submit. So once you hit complete and submit, you will not be able to edit your application anymore. But if you just hit save, Nice and easy. It just saves that for you, but we will go ahead. You can go back and review anything. If for some reason you need to get into the application and you can't, I will be the person you'll reach out to, or the phone number is on the webpage. We'll go back to that. We'll complete and continue this. But you can also email the regrow at rockfordil.gov. And that will also come directly to me and I'll be able to assist you right away. You can also, if you're having any technical problems, come down to this little blue question mark. And that will pull up some options of what type of problem you might be having. Okay, so we will complete and submit that grant application. It is on its way. And so then you are all set. If you have questions after you've done that, or you submitted it too soon and you need to get back in, again, you can reach out to myself and we will get you in there. Um, okay, let's go ahead and quickly pull up the rubric. Let me make sure I have this. And then we can open up for any questions after that. This will give you a sense of what the commissioners are really looking at, or looking for, I should say. They want to get an understanding of your leadership team as your organization. Um, And do you demonstrate the ability to manage the proposed project? Are your finances stable and secure? Um, have you identified who's going to be administering the grant? And again, the reporting of that. The really important aspects, all important, but the commissioners are really looking at the community impact and innovation. They're looking at all of it, but they really want to get a strong sense of your project. If it's located, how is it really targeting the disproportionately impacted, whether it's an individual or the community? Have you described that impact that you're going to make on the location and the audience that you're targeting? Again, being as descriptive as possible. You could even kind of outline this in your narratives and descriptions to really draw attention for the commissioners. This is how I'm trying to address this question. But let's see. Oop, going fast. Are you explaining the size and the reach of your audience? Is it detailed? And are you explaining the activities? Again, be as specific and detailed as possible, including an explanation of the outcomes. So not only what are you going to do, but how do you plan? How do you know it's going to be successful? What are the outcomes you're anticipating seeing? And how will you have you explained how you will track that or see if you met those outcomes? Again, that's part of what the reporting will be on the back end as you work with city staff is identifying the outcomes as you go, demonstrating a creative response. They want to know that you are innovative in thinking about the problems you're addressing. Again, getting to the community and individuals and families that this grant is really meant to provide support for. Is it a creative response? We've seen some really neat applications coming in, and again, looking forward to what you're proposing. Looking at your project timeline, the reasonableness, and is it achievable? Again, if you have a large project, have you identified everything you need to make sure it's successful? And so as we're looking at your application, or as the commissioners are looking at your application, they want to be able to see that. Were any letters of support included? If you identified collaborators and partnerships, those letters of support are required, but if you don't have any letters of support here, that would be a 0. So do try and get those again for the project and program or event that you are proposing. Then sustainability, this is the budget. Is it comprehensive and is it for the entire project? Again, breaking out. What are you spending that $50,000 on? Be specific. Or the $100,000. Specify what those expenses will be. Again, are they reasonable? Is the budget reasonable? And do you have any supporting documents to go along with that? Maybe you already have quotes for things and you could include those. Um, so to show we know what we need to do to get this project completed. Now we just need a little bit more funding, just paint that picture for the commissioners. You've identified again all sources of the funding have been, you have all the sources of funding for the project. And is the organization financially positioned to use the grant funds as proposed? So when you get the funding, it can't be used for anything outside of what is allowable. Again, take a look at the grant guidelines. So this is a quick overview of everything within, the application, the rubric here, and the grant guidelines.